Titletown, it's Green Bay, back to town. Ladder, hey, sacrifice the price we pay. Never back down, ain't no way. Champions in every way. Leaders on board, they are made. Fight for greatness every day. It's Titletown, USA. Go Pack, go! 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 Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? It's Ryan with the Packers Hub, and god damn it, I'm back! I know I've said it 1,000 times, but this time I'm for real. I'm cranking out Packers Hub shit on the daily. On the website, on the YouTube, podcast, we're doing it all, baby. And I'm fucking cocked, locked, and ready to rock. Fuck yeah, it feels good. It feels good to be back. And to know that I'm going to do this consistently. I'm going to do this consistently. So for everybody that enjoys my content, and for everybody in the future that will enjoy my content, I'm going to be doing it on the reg, and you can expect it. Maybe at least once a week with the podcast. I'll probably do a couple videos a week, and then I'll try to do articles every other day. But, maybe 2 times a week with the podcast is what I'm thinking. Because I like to ramble, and I like to just go long-form conversations with myself. So podcasts are a perfect avenue for that. So be on the lookout for all that stuff at thepackershub.com and the Packers Hub YouTube. And you can also follow the Packers Hub Twitter. I also have a Packers Hub Facebook, but I don't think anybody looks at that shit. So head on over to the other 3 if you want. So I recorded after the New England game, but I had just gotten a brand new computer and it was all fucked up, or I couldn't figure out how to use it, or whatever the fuck. And yeah, I mean, if you guys want me to drop that podcast, that one was heated. We had just traded Haha, I believe, and was it after the Patriots? I thought it was after the Patriots game. But yeah, if you guys want me to drop that one, I go fucking off. Like, I start yelling and shit. It's pretty, I think you guys would like it. It'd be pretty funny. I mean, it's pretty self-deprecating to me, but fuck it. For the interest of entertainment, I will release it upon request. So put in the comments if you guys are listening, if you guys want to hear that podcast. So, yeah, what can I say, man? That was a god-awful season. I mean, it just every game. And you know what the worst part is that they strung us along for so long, man. They took us all the way to like what, week 15 or whatever the fuck. Like, for so long, we just had like these little inklings of hope. And even I was at the Arizona Cardinals game with my buddy at Lambeau, and we're like, oh, we'll go to the Cardinals game, we'll shit on them, it'll be fun. And then, of course, the fucking Cardinals beat us in typical fashion, which it looked like at the end, the Packers were going to, have a vintage Aaron Rodgers comeback, but then that fell short. So is the season. But, after that, we fired Mike McCarthy, and we still had hope. Because then the following week, I believe, we beat the Dolphins or something like that. And, if we went 8-7-1, we could make it. And then it's like, if we went, I don't even know. Like, it was just such a whirlwind of a season. It was brutal and everything. That we just got strung along for so long. We still had these little inklings of hope. And I know that there was 2 sides of Packer fandom. There was Team Tank and then Team Win Out. I was Team Win Out. I don't want to tank. Losing is not fun, dude. I don't get all dressed up in my Packers gear every Sunday to watch the Green Bay Packers lose, and neither do the Packers. The Packers players, team or guys that are fighting for a spot on the team next season. No, they don't sign the dotted line to go out there and shit the bed intentionally. They go out there to fucking win. And I sit down and watch the Packers and drink 15 goddamn beers so I can watch the Packers goddamn win. God damn it. So that's where I'm at. And you can't even lie. That Jets game, even though it didn't mean shit, that was fun. That was a fun-ass fucking game to watch. Points all over the place. Aaron Rodgers, vintage fucking performance down the stretch. Come on. That was a goddamn fun game to watch. That's the kind of shit I want to see. Not like week 17 where we got absolutely blown out by the Lions. That was bullshit. So yeah, I was team win out, not team tank. Although a better draft pick would have been better. And now the Saints just won yesterday. So that's going to be a shit draft pick. It's going to be at the end of round 1, but you can find gems wherever. And like, what are we bitching about? Like, we still have 2 first-round picks. Even though the second first-round pick is basically an early second, I mean, it doesn't fucking matter. We still got 2 first-round picks, and I'm excited to see what we do with them. I'll get more into the draft a little later. So I mentioned that we fired Mike McCarthy, and to replace him, Matt LaFleur. I mean, at first I was just kind of like, what? Like what? Because I got the Bleacher Report update on my phone saying Packers zeroing in on Matt LaFleur, and I'm just like, what? Because I wanted, I mean, who didn't want Josh McDaniels? But I had my reservations. I knew that he was an asshole. Everybody knows that he's an asshole and that he's hard to work with. But he just works with the Patriots because Bill Belichick doesn't take shit from anybody. Like, Josh McDaniels is one of those guys that's like classic, like perfect offensive coordinator. And like maybe just perfect offensive coordinator for the Patriots under Bill Belichick. Like, he's perfect in the role that he's in, but it was a complete shot in the dark with what he would be as a head coach. We saw in Denver how that fucking unfolded. But then everybody's like, oh, that's so long ago. We could bring him back in as a head coach and blah, 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 blah. Our offense looks like the Patriots. And like, goddamn, that was enticing. That was very enticing. Oh, maybe he's not an asshole anymore. Maybe he learned from his mistakes in Denver. And I would really like to have that Patriots offense, especially seeing what they did to the Chargers yesterday. Or 2 days ago. Well, or was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. On Sunday. So yeah, I mean, and we got a report the day before the Matt LaFleur news that it was going to be McDaniels. Like, all signs pointed to McDaniels. And then the next day, Packers zeroing in on LaFleur and all that shit. So, I don't know, man. I've talked myself into it, to be honest with you guys. I've talked myself into it. He has no shortage of coaches and ex-players coming out of the woodwork to support him, saying he's one of the brightest minds. You hear rumblings from like executives that this guy's incredible, he's so smart, this, that, the other thing, and I've kind of talked myself into it. And like, you look at his offense in Tennessee, what the fuck was he working with? Taylor Lewan, I think, got injured for a large portion of the season. Marcus Mariota has not been what people thought coming out of the draft, and I didn't think he was going to be very good in the NFL, and he's proving me right. So Marcus Mariota is nothing special, and so granted, say what you will about Marcus Mariota, but he was the starting quarterback, and he was out for how many weeks at the end there? And so Derrick Henry really turned it on, and then Matt LaFleur had no choice but to just run the ball an asinine amount. He was like second in run plays, in run play percentage in the NFL. So he had to run the ball an asinine amount, so that dramatically affected their offense. And who the fuck was playing at quarterback? I don't even remember. I know it's not Charlie Jesus Whitehurst. It was like Matt Barkley, I'm pretty sure. It just pitiful shit, man. So he had nothing to work with. How many weapons do the Titans really have? That's another thing. Delaney Walker tore his ACL in the preseason, so he didn't have Matt LaFleur didn't have Walker all season at his disposal. How many weapons do the Titans really have? Corey Davis really hasn't lived up to the billing that his pre-draft billing that he had. So yeah, I mean, all they really had was Derrick Henry as a weapon, and they maximized the offense with what they had, I thought. So I mean, yeah, the numbers weren't great. They weren't a top 10 offense or whatever, but they did good with what they had. Matt LaFleur did the best with what he had. I mean, I don't think you can really look at it any other way. Looking at all the deficiencies of the Titans offense. So, I think Matt LaFleur in Green Bay, I really hope he's the whiz kid that everybody says that he is. I really hope he designs some creative plays, this, that, and the other thing, and I just hope it fucking works out, man, because I want to get back to winning football. I love watching the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs, and this second season in a row that hasn't happened. We need to get back. We need to stay on top, and we need to maximize the Aaron Rodgers window, because everybody, it was, how long ago did we start talking about this? Like 3-4 years ago, about the window closing? Dude, now it's legit. Now, no matter who you are, that Aaron Rodgers window is, I don't know, maybe 4-5 years more. I mean, we have one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history for maybe 4-5 years more. Yes, we need to maximize that window to the best of our abilities. One thing that I liked that could help us is kept Pettin. Matt LaFleur kept Pettin. So I was a critic of Pettin towards the end of the season because I don't give a goddamn how many players were injured. But that's a factor. I know it's a factor. But the defense was straight up lousy at the end. Like, I don't care who's playing. I don't care how many undrafted rookies. Tyler Lancaster was playing like a goddamn beast. Tony Brown had a pretty solid showing. So the undrafted rookies, you can say, oh, there's undrafted rookies playing. Well, they're playing well. So I don't know. In my mind, there was really no excuse for how bad the defense was playing towards the end of the season. And I kind of pointed the finger at Pettin. I'm like, bro, what the fuck is going on here? But I had to humble myself, and I backtracked. And our defense looked pretty goddamn good in the beginning of the season. I can't even lie about that. They looked like a pretty solid unit. How long were we like in the top 5 for? I think pretty much through like week 8, we were in like the top 5 for defense. So yeah, I'm glad we had Pettin, and I'll get into the defense, having a healthy defense, because that would take us a long way to have a healthy defense. If we could just stay goddamn healthy, that's the only thing that we need, is to stay healthy on defense, because we have the horses, and we're going to add a few more in the drafts. So, but with Pettin staying, we had 3 coaches go. Joe Witt. Why the fuck did Joe Witt go? Wasn't he one of the best assistant coaches on the Green Bay Packers staff? And the other best assistant coach to leave, James Campen, the O-line coach. Why the hell? Dude, and now Ron Zook went, and thank fucking God, dude. Thank God Ron Zook is gone, because that guy was a complete clown. He had no idea what he was doing out there. I really don't even know why we kept him. Aaron Nagler has made this point 1,000 times, but the fact that Mike McCarthy was fired and Ron Zook wasn't is completely asinine. They both should have gone at the same time. I don't know why Zook continued to stay on the roster or as a coach. But going back to Joe Witt and James Campen, dude, why are they gone? They were our 2 best assistant coaches. And like, Joe Witt was basically told, see ya. Like, he was dismissed. He was fired. James Campen, his contract was up, so he was interviewing all around. But Joe Witt, he was like, see ya, dude, we don't want you. Like, what sense does that make? I literally don't even know. I have no idea. So I'm really interested to see how we fill those two positions particularly, because we have young guys, young up-and-coming guys at corner, and O-line is very important. A good O-line coach is very important. One, because I believe we're going to go heavy on O-line either in free agency or the draft or both. And we need an O-line coach that can develop some goddamn good O-linemen. And James Campen was that guy. You look at his laundry list of like Pro Bowl players. TJ Lane, Josh Sitton, all these guys that have turned out to be dogs with the Packers. So I don't get that. Really interested to see who fills those positions. We also need a new OC and a special teams coordinator. So for OC, my guy was Todd Monken. Now he's with the Browns. So now what? We're left with Nathaniel Hackett from the Jaguars. Now people say, oh, well, he got fired. And look at the Jaguars offense. Like, people forget, dude. Nathaniel Hackett, he put up 40 against the Patriots in that championship game, the AFC championship game. 40 on the Patriots. I mean, their offense looked pretty goddamn good. He was creative. I liked some of the shit that he did. So, yeah, I'd like the hire. I mean, it's not a Todd Monken. I thought Todd Monken would have been good. And special teams coordinator, we're looking at the Rizzy guy from the Dolphins, which everybody says that's a good hire. I don't know too much about special teams coordinators. So if everybody else, all the coaches and all the analysts and all that shit, if everybody says that he'd be a good hire, then let's fucking bring him on. But in terms of like OC and like these other positions that we have to fill, dude, we're missing out on guys. Like, where are these guys? Where are these top tier candidates lining up at this position? Like, it seemed like before, like when the Packers were in their prime, guys would like leave other teams and come to the Packers to do the same position. Not even for like an upgrade, but they would come to the Packers because the Packers were so fucking good. Now it's like we can't get anybody. Monken chooses Cleveland over the Packers. Now I don't know what kind of, if they offered him more money, if they offered him like OC/assistant head coach, or no, that was James Campen. James Campen, the O-line coach, went to Cleveland, and they gave him assistant head coach. So I don't know if they gave Monken some kind of, hey, you can have this much influence on this or that, or whatever it was. But obviously the juice was sweeter in Cleveland than in Green Bay, so he went over there, and now we basically need to get Nathaniel Hackett in the building, because after that, who is there? Who is there? Because we can just be denied for any other position coach. So like if there was a QB coach or a wide receivers coach or another OC that we wanted to interview, like they can all be blocked by the head coach. They can all be blocked. So we need to get, at this point, we got to get Hackett on board. I really don't know who else we could get at this point. So, yeah. I don't know where all these candidates are, is my point. So, looking ahead at the offseason, so free agents, got a list right here. I'll tell you guys some of the free agents that I'm currently eyeing right now. Now, safety, I think we need to go all in on safety. If we can get Landon Collins, that needs to happen. Here we go. So, yeah, safety, Earl Thomas, Tyrann Mathieu, Landon Collins, LaMarcus Joyner, Adrian Amos. I mean, those are all guys that if the Packers went and tried to sign, I'd be very happy with. I mean, Adrian Amos had a really good year last year, but then this year, he just didn't continue to stack success. Earl Thomas, I mean, he had the injury and all that, but I mean, the guy's a goddamn game changer at safety. I mean, there's no other way you can paint it. So adding Earl Thomas to the secondary, he was the highest graded safety in the league. So you say, oh, well, he's old. It's like, all right, well, that's a fair point, except that he was the highest graded safety in the league last year, according to Pro Football Focus, up until he got injured. So if he's still the number one safety in the league, yeah, I think we should still sign him, regardless if he's 29 or 30. And then, but I mean, out of that group, Landon Collins. If Landon Collins is in on the open market, dude, I don't give a fuck what you pay him. Get him in green and gold. We need a safety. We don't have any safeties right now. I mean, Tramon Williams is a patchwork free safety, and Josh Jones is goddamn so inconsistent. He'll have one splash play here, and then he'll be complete dog shit the next play. I mean, dude, Josh Jones, it's exactly like I got roasted. Do you know how bad I got roasted for my pre-draft breakdowns of Kevin King and Josh Jones? People were all up my ass, calling me stupid, calling me an idiot, saying I don't know what I'm doing, saying I don't know how to fucking evaluate talent, all this shit. And then, lo and behold, Kevin King, now, he did have somewhat of a decent season before he got hurt. I'm not going to deny that. But you still did see things from my video that I said he needs to clean this up. He needs to have I'm sorry, I misspoke. It wasn't a pre-draft video. It was a post-draft video, so I was commenting on the Packers' selection of Kevin King and Josh Jones in separate videos. But at the time, I was kind of optimistic, like, all right, he's got the tools, and we have Joe Witt. So now Joe Witt's out of the picture. And now Kevin King has showed himself to be very injury-prone. This guy's always getting hurt. We don't know how reliable he's going to be. And that's a big question going into this offseason, because Josh Jackson did not play up to expectations. It was a pretty brutal, honestly, at times, season for Josh Jackson. I mean, he couldn't tackle whatsoever. He was always like close in coverage, but just always a step behind. So obviously that 40 time. Now, I'm not a big believer in 40 times and how it translates to NFL success and stuff, but it does look like Josh Jackson is a hair slow on every time he allows a reception. He's a touch slow than the wide receiver. So, yeah. But, like, going back to the Josh Jones, Kevin King thing, I got fucking roasted. And now, look, Josh Jones is it's everything that I said in the video. And Kevin King still has issues, even when he was healthy, with things that I said in his video. Go back and watch the videos. But, yeah. We need a safety and potentially maybe even a corner. Maybe add a little depth there in the drafts in, the mid rounds or something like that. Because Kevin King, injury prone as hell, man. And I'm not ready to put all my chips in the Tony Brown basket, man. I'm not ready to do it. I know everybody said that he was playing well, and at times he did have some nice coverage, but so did Ladarius Gunter. Ladarius Gunter had some goddamn good games under Joe Witt. So, yeah, Tony Brown had some good games. He made some plays, but at the end of the day, I'm just not ready to trust him. So, yeah, do I think we should bring him back? Absolutely. Let's see how he does. But there's nothing wrong with a little competition. with a lot of competition. You stack the deck. You make guys battle for positions, man. So, safety, definitely go after Earl Thomas, Landon Collins. LaMarcus Joyner would be nice. Tyrann Mathieu, but I think, I saw an article saying the Texans are going to try and lock up Jadeveon and Tyrann. So, and that was another guy going to edge rushers. Jadeveon Clowney was a guy I would have loved to have on the Packers, but looks like the Texans are going to try and lock him up long term. Brandon Graham, I would really like to have on the Packers, but he's getting up there in age. He's not as dominant as he was. Still a good edge rusher. Could still give us like a Julius Pepper type of impact, which is not nothing. Julius Peppers had a lot of impact on games. Like that Chicago game where he got that strip sack to end the game, or basically ice the game, or put us in a really good position to get another touchdown or field goal. So Julius Peppers had a lot of impact for the Green Bay Packers, and bringing in someone like Brandon Graham, who's dominant in the run game and is a pretty good pass rusher, I think would be nice. Ziggy Ansah, I do not want at all. Don't bring Ziggy. He's fucking one-trick pony. I don't want Ziggy Ansah on the Packers. It'd be too much money for not enough production. DeMarcus Lawrence, I don't know, man. I mean, he's a damn good pass rusher, but the Cowboys might lock him up. They might tag him again. And I really don't know where he would fit in the Mike Pettin defense, per se. But, I mean, it'd definitely be really interesting if we brought him in. And then there's Frank Clark, which would be a good addition, but I don't think we'll bring him up because of the off-field issues and all the questions that he had during the draft process. Preston Smith would be interesting, but it would probably be too much money for what we're getting there. D Ford would be really interesting, but I think the Chiefs are going to try to lock him up. Anthony Barr, I think he would be a goddamn good edge rusher. I think he's been playing out of position at inside linebacker in Minnesota, or strong side linebacker. I think he should be an outside linebacker. I thought he always should be. Go back and watch him at UCLA. He was a fucking savage rushing the passer. And he can cover, because we saw that in Minnesota. So I think he would perfectly slide into the Mike Pettin defense. But, of course, the big question is all the fucking drama and the controversy after, hitting Aaron Rodgers, and how would he mesh in the Packers locker room after all that bullshit. So we'll see if that happens. I tend to doubt it will happen, but I think he would be perfectly fit in the defense. I really do. Looking at wide receiver, there's Golden Tate, Jamison Crowder, Dante Moncrief, Tavon Austin, Robbie Anderson, Devin Funchess. I think out of all those guys, I would want Jamison Crowder. He would be like a 2014 Randall Cobb. I mean, they basically have the same skill set. Jamison Crowder's faster. I think he's probably even a little shiftier than Randall Cobb. And that's another thing. Are we going to bring back Randall Cobb? I have no idea. I mean, you guys all saw that post, or the pregame shot of Randall Cobb and Aaron Rodgers hugging each other, and you just see the fucking tears in Randall Cobb's eyes, and that was just like a perfect summation of the season. Just how brutal. Like, it's the last time that they'll be playing together. And like, that's not nothing, man. Like, I've been saying this for a while. Aaron Rodgers is starting to be alienated like Brett Favre was. You're around as long as you are in the National Football League with one team. All your friends, all your guys, there's a lot of roster turnover, and they're all gone. Does he still have friends on the roster? Yes, he's friends with Devontae. He's friends with D-Back. He has a good relationship with Corey Linsley. Like, these guys, and like, he has good relationships on the team currently. But Randall Cobb is one of his best friends. He stood up in Randall Cobb's wedding. He was at Randall Cobb's college graduation ceremony, for Christ's sakes. I mean, it was one thing with Jordy, his favorite target in the world, his safety valve. And now take away Randall Cobb, which I don't think there's a prayer that Randall Cobb stays in Green Bay. I mean, I think that was really obvious last offseason when Brian Gutekunst was he was in the market for Sammy Watkins and Allen Robinson, this guy and that guy. He's in the market for other wide receivers. He obviously doesn't think that Randall Cobb is the long-term answer. And can you blame him? Randall Cobb's always hurt. And there's another thing, Clay Matthews. Another guy who's always hurt or underperforming. And Randall Cobb had some brutal games this season. I mean, that game against Washington was easily the best or the worst game of his career. Clay Matthews had some similar type games this season. Getting blown off the ball, not looking remotely like his old self. So both of those guys are probably gone. I don't see how we can bring them back. They're going to want too much money for what we're going to get from them. And their injury history is just brutal. So I have no idea. I mean, in a perfect world, yeah, I would like to have both back. I still think Clay is a shadow of his former self, and that's probably even being a little nice. But he's still a contributor. If we could bring him back on like a $4 million a year deal or $4 or $5 million a year deal. Maybe I'd even go as high as $6 for like 2 years. Him and Randall. If we could get Randall for like $5 a year for 2 years and Clay for like $6 a year for 2 years. I mean, that would be nice. But I mean, obviously that's fucking pie in the sky, wishful thinking. That's not going to happen. But I'm just saying, I'd like to keep them in green and gold because they're Packers, and I want to keep Packers, goddammit. And they still are contributors. But in the same breath, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to move on. It's time for the next Clay Matthews. It's time for the next Randall Cobb. So maybe keeping them around longer would stunt maybe MVS's growth, EQ's growth. I'm still a believer in Jamon Moore. I saw his tools at Missouri. I know he can get it done at the NFL level. So watch out for Jamon Moore. So maybe Randall Cobb sticking around would stunt their growth. And maybe keeping Clay Matthews around would stunt the growth of whoever we're going to get in the offseason. Because believe you me, if we don't get edge rushers in the draft or in free agency, what the fuck are we doing? We got to get rid of Nick Perry. Clay Matthews is probably out the door. Then who do we have? Reggie Gilbert and Kyler Fackrell? Reggie Gilbert looked like shit. After his preseason, we all thought he was going to be a dog. He looked like shit during the regular season. Absolute shit. Kyler Fackrell, surprisingly, played really well for Kyler Fackrell standards. He had 10 sacks. Kyler Fackrell had 10 sacks. And that game against the Seahawks, Kyler Fackrell looked like a goddamn premier edge rusher in the NFL. He had 3 sacks. There was one play where Russell Wilson was rolling out to the left, and Kyler Fackrell came shot out of a cannon and just ran right through Russell Wilson for a loss. It was fucking awesome. So Kyler Fackrell, he's had those flashes where it's like, goddamn, he could be a piece. He could potentially be a piece. A rotational pass rush piece. And I think that's probably, he's not a starter. Let's get that out of the way. But he's a nice third option. And I never thought I would say it, but I'm saying it right now because you don't just have 10 sacks and then not be a nice option, I guess. But, goddamn, in the same breath, look at Nick Perry. Nick Perry had that 11-sack season, gave him all that money, and now he's dog shit. And he's always hurt. This guy's, like I said, he's always breaking his hands. His fingers are made out of glass, like that guy from SpongeBob. Every morning, I wake up, and I break my legs, and then I break my arms. That's Nick Perry with his fingers, like straight up. So, goddamn, dude, there's so much that has to be done in the offseason. Like, I really don't even know how the 2019 season's going to be because there's so much that needs to be done. Everybody needs to get healthy. we got to add so many pieces. I think we need to add a lot of pieces to our offense. I think we need to completely rebuild the offensive line. Not completely, but there's 3 spots that should be up for grabs. Obviously, right guard. There's no question about that. Bulaga, he's another guy that's injury-riddled, always getting hurt. Can't really count on him. But when he's been in, he's been solid. Can't take that away from the guy. And then Lane Taylor, another guy who's like, okay, but he's not good. So I think we just need to... I wouldn't be upset if we got 2 O-linemen in the first round. And I know everybody's probably sitting there, what the fuck? Because everybody wants Ja'Kai Polite. Everybody wants, the big name edge rushers. Dude, how long have we been doing this in the draft? We go in, we draft, our first 4 picks are defensive players, and then the rest, or maybe like most of the rest of our picks are offensive. Dude, fuck that. We need to go in and we need to pick offensive players in the high rounds. Looking at the draft now, we need to go offense early and often. We need to go in my perfect pie in the sky world, we would go Jonah Williams with our first pick, which he's probably not going to fall to us. Like, let's be real. Jonah Williams, he's the best O-tackle in the draft. Everybody wants an O-tackle, a franchise O-tackle. He's going to go before 12. And I don't know if it's necessarily worth it to give up that other first to go up and get him, because we need to add as many good players as possible. But pie in the sky outlook for me, Jonah Williams with our first pick, Irv Smith with our second pick. Double up on the Alabama boys. I think Irv Smith is the best tight end in this class. He's got amazing hands. He can fucking block his ass off. And then he's fucking fast. So I think he's a great tight end. He's like an OJ Howard kind of deal. So bring in Irv Smith, bring in Jonah Williams. Let's add pieces, because I'm tired of adding tight ends in free agency. I'm fucking tired of it. All we do is do this patchwork, and then we add a good one in Jared Cook, and then we let him leave so we can sign Martellus Bennett. And then we cut Martellus Bennett halfway through the season. And then we go out and we get Jimmy Graham, and he underperforms the shit out of this season. So I'm tired of free agent tight ends. Fuck that. Go get Irv Smith. Go get one of these guys. It's a goddamn great tight end class. Get one of them. Preferably Irv Smith. Maybe Noah Fant. But I like Irv Smith the best, because he can block. We need a blocking goddamn tight end, and not Jimmy Graham's sorry fucking ass. Now, that being said, I do think Jimmy Graham could be productive in Matt LaFleur's offense. We'll see how that goes. But in any offense, Jimmy Graham can't block. We need a blocking tight end that can also do it all, and that's Irv Smith. So get Irv Smith. But like I said, I wouldn't be mad if we went O-line 2 times in the first round. Jonah Williams, and then maybe that Ben Schwiefelhausen fucking guy from Wisconsin. We need a fucking tackle and a guard. I think that's the mission. In this draft. Maybe we trade back in round 1 and we get that Yadni Kajust guy from West Virginia. He's got a lot of tools. I don't know. He kind of looks like a TJ Clemmings to me. But I haven't really delved in full bore into looking at prospects, which I'm going to start doing later on today. So, yeah, wouldn't be mad at getting 2 O-linemen in the first round. Also, dude, if Ed Oliver is at 12, that's goddamn tempting. And I know what I just went on this whole rant about how we need offense, and we need offense in the early rounds. But, dude, Ed Oliver was at one point he was the number 1 pick. He was the consensus number 1 pick before Nick Bosa declared. or it was like 1 and 2. Ed Oliver was either number 1 or he was number 2. I mean, it really depended on, whose big board you were looking at. So you look at Ed Oliver. I mean, it's not his play that's made him slide, into the bottom 10, or like the 8, 9, 10 range is where I see him like being mocked now. So it's not his play. He's a goddamn great player. And you look at the fucking sideline altercation that he had with his head coach at Houston. That guy was being a complete dick because Ed Oliver had already declared for the NFL, so he's sitting out or he's hurt or some shit, and he was on the sideline, and his head coach was like, "Take off your jacket." And then Ed Oliver got pissed, as he rightly should have. It's like, dude, fuck you. I'm not taking off my jacket. I'm still supporting the team. I still want to be around the team, but I'm looking out for my best interests. Like, dude, fuck that coach from Houston. I don't give a goddamn about that. Get Ed Oliver to Green Bay. That would be sick. Could you imagine him, Mike Daniels, and Kenny Clark on the same fucking line, all out there at the same time? That would be incredible. I don't give a goddamn. If Ed Oliver's there at 12, that's goddamn enticing. Especially if Jonah Williams is off the board. Holy shit. And then you go and get Irv Smith at the end of round 1. That would be perfect. And then we continue to build on the offensive side of the ball in the second round. But yeah, like I said, I'll be looking more into prospects, and I'll be doing breakdowns on the YouTube channel. So be on the lookout for that. Looking at the 2019 season. Well, obviously, all the rookies need to take a step, or two in the case of Josh Jackson and Jamon Moore. I mean, after that preseason, and I know preseason doesn't mean shit, but I mean, you just saw so much from Josh Jackson to say, this guy is not going to bust. This guy... yeah, fuck off. Keep your jokes to yourself. But you just saw enough from Josh Jackson to say, this guy's going to be fucking good. And then he was bad. He was bad in the regular season. I'm going to say it. He was straight up bad. He didn't have some poor performances. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He was fucking bad. And I was as big of a fan of the Josh Jackson pick as anybody. But he was bad in 2018. So he needs to take a couple steps in this offseason. And he needs to come back with a vengeance. And we need to slide him out to the outside corner position. He led the team in snaps from the slot. That makes no fucking sense with his skill set. Put him out on the perimeter. Bring Jair inside, because Jair can cover wherever. Outside, inside, doesn't matter. But Josh Jackson, his main thing is being outside. So hopefully they fix that. Like I said, I still believe in Jamon Moore. MVS and EQ both showed a lot of promise, but god damn it. Fucking phone. Sorry about that. I don't even know why we even have a goddamn house phone. I have been telling my fucking parents to get rid of it forever now. But, yeah. You saw enough from MVS and EQ. They had some really good games, but there was obviously some holes, and like some glaring holes in each of their games. And, you know, if they can just tidy those things up over the offseason, get in some good work, get stronger, and all that shit, hopefully they come back with a vengeance. And the same for all the other rookies. Everybody just needs to take a step. And it was overall pretty goddamn good draft class for Brian Gutekunst. And I will say this. Everybody wants to blow sunshine up Jair Alexander's ass. And he had a good season. But towards the end, he was really tapering off. And especially, I was at the Lions game and I was at the Cardinals game. The two worst games to go to. And just like seeing Jair, it's like there's a line between confidence and cockiness And I think he's over the line into cockiness. It's like, bro, humble yourself. Because he obviously saw that everybody's like saying, oh, rookie of the year, Jair Alexander, this, that, the other. No. He needs to humble himself. And, I love the swagger. I love him fucking, talking shit and all this. I love it. But, dude, I think he's over the line of confidence into cockiness, and he got exposed in each of those games that I was at. And he got exposed for a majority of the games down the stretch. I mean, at a point, he was the number 1 graded rookie corner by Pro Football Focus. And then at the end of the year, he was like 5th behind Levi Wallace, who was undrafted. Levi Wallace was the number 2 rookie corner. Now, I was a fan of Levi Wallace. Let's make that known. When he was at Alabama, I was a Levi Wallace fan because his arms are fucking long as hell. Each one is like 3 feet long. But still, 4th after he was 1st. He took a step back. I won't say a big step back, but he took a step back. After that Rams game, it kind of started going downhill for him. So he needs to put in a lot of work this offseason too. He can't let his early season success go to his head. And I love him. I love the guy. I still think he's going to be a dog, but come on, man. Humble yourself and get after it this offseason. And then, like I said, we need to rebuild the O-line to have success in 2019. The way Aaron Rodgers was getting hit on a game-to-game basis was totally unacceptable. Need to rebuild the O-line and keep Aaron Rodgers healthy. And, like I said earlier, a healthy defense would go a long fucking way because we saw how good we were through the first half of the 2018 season. If we can stay relatively healthy throughout the entire 2019 season, I think we'll be in a good position to make the playoffs, make a run in the playoffs, this, that, the other thing. So, yeah, there's a lot of work that needs to be done in the offseason. A lot of shit that needs to be done. A lot of holes that need to be filled. Again, keep your jokes to yourself, goddammit. None of that shit on this podcast. Probably too much of that shit on this podcast, actually. But I'm looking forward to the 2019 season. I'm looking forward to seeing who we're going to fill with special teams coordinator, offensive coordinator, what pieces we're going to add in the offseason, and I will be there every step of the way. I fucking promise it. I will be there, and I will be commentating, and I will be speculating, and I will be saying the wrong things, and I will be making the wrong moves, and I'll be making prospect videos where I say the prospect is bad, and then he comes in and he's the rookie of the year. All that shit and more to come at the PackersHub.com, Packers Hub YouTube, and the Packers Hub Twitter. So that's all I got for you guys today. Look out for all that shit. It's going to be coming out rapid fire. And I'll talk to you guys next time. See ya.